This is the Conscious Planet Network with your host, myself, Gaianna Sophia. In these episodes, we'll be diving into inspirational stories of change, new technologies, and people really making a difference, including interviews from authors, entrepreneurs, spiritual leaders, journalists, great thinkers, physicists, alternative healers, and so much more. There is just so much going on the planet right now that is helping to change humanity, our planet, and the future, and we need to know about it. A big part of this is showcasing people who've stepped up and aligned with their life purposes, recognizing that the more we attune to our destinies, why we're here, the more we help expand and evolve our collective future. On each of these shows, I'll be sharing inspirational stories of how I'm also personally aligning with my own destiny, and you'll get to see how it unfolds. The Conscious Planet Network is an exploration of the evolution that is already in progress, one that you and I are a part of, that's happening on an individual and global level. There are so many people right now who are contributing to changing the tides of our future. Are you ready to be inspired? Hello and welcome back. Today, before we get into the interview, I wanted to share a couple things about how to hold the vision of what you are wanting to manifest in your world. So in the last show, I shared all about how I end up getting this program where I'm now a radio host, which is pretty awesome. And this past week has been an amazing amount of work to get the show working and going and on social media. And wow, it's just been amazing to see what I needed to learn to make it all happen. And what I found was that I was pretty much in the happy zone most of it because this is something that I really want to be doing. But then I'd find myself dipping into the old patterns of just getting things done and pressure. And those are just so important to recognize and so important to bring to consciousness, because if I was to start to allow those to keep going, those patterns, then I could end up taking this as a job. Oh, it makes me want to cry. And so it's important to just really check in as we're stepping on the path of our life purpose and our destinies, just really deepening into why we're here, to take a mental check, a check-in, to make sure that every aspect of how we're doing things is of the highest energy, of the highest happiness state. And if it's not, then we need to take some reevaluation time, because what we would just be doing is bringing the old and putting it in the new area. Those are the types of things that start bogging us down and start taking the joy out of life and the magic out of life. And so this is how to live a high vibrational life. Basically, as we step in and we monitor these things, then we can start to really bring the joy in ourselves, cultivate the joy in ourselves. So just a reminder that I'm going to be holding a sacred site tour down in Sedona. So we're going to be taking a tour through the vortex and doing a ceremony. And that's going to happen in mid-May. The details are all being finalized and worked on. And if you're interested, then be sure to go to my website, and I'll leave the website link. I'll spell it out at the end of this show, and contact me for me to put you on the list. This is our second episode, and today we have on the show Kim Tebbutt. She is an amazing angelic being. She has connections with angels, and I just love her points of view. She writes books for children. She's an indie author publisher with Divine Love Publishing. She's written the book 7 Billion Angels Whispering, We Love You, for children. It's so beautiful. She's currently writing a water blessing book, which is an anthology of 25 different contributors. She does water blessings every month for the past 5.5 years, both public and private. Welcome, Kim.
Hello, Gaianna. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, sweetheart.
And we have another special guest, my mom. Her name today is going to be called Moonlit Margo. She's taking on a Salt Spring name. Do you want to say hi, Margo?
Hi, Margo.
Okay.
Hi, this is Moonlit Margo. Hello. Thank you, Gaianna, for having me here.
You're welcome.
As your other guest.
You're welcome. Okay, so here we go. Kim, I would love to know. You just have such an amazing life. You've really come out and you are owning what you're doing. You're walking your talk. You are such an integral person. And I absolutely love you for that. And that's why you're on this show. And I'm just wondering, you are so creative and you're so connected with your guides. Have you always been this way?
Thank you, first of all. Thank you for the beautiful expression that you shared with me about me.
Aww,
I appreciate that so much. I would say that, no, I wasn't connected to guides or angels. I was, as a little child, I became very connected to Christ, and he was my best friend, and he still is, has always been. And I just lived a really joyful life, especially after I finished school at 18. I really lived a happy, joyful life and felt lots of love around me and saw it everywhere. And then my brother got very sick with AIDS. He was diagnosed, and he told our family, and 3 days later he was in the hospital with full-blown AIDS. And they said that he would be dead within a week.
Oh my
His
gosh.
T cells plummeted. So that's when I went and slept with him for 10 nights, every night in the hospital. And I'd come home and I actually would dance. And I didn't know it then, but I realized now I was Sufi dancing, spiral dancing, and ecstatic dancing. And I started to, on day 2, I actually had said to Christ, you told me I could do anything you could do. So let's go. And I would sleep with my brother and know that the love of Christ was just pouring right through me to my brother.
Wow, that sounds so powerful.
Thank you. It really, really was. And then I went home and I danced. I guess I know now that I was recharging in a huge way. And within 2 days, I started to see angels in the trees. I saw, it was astonishing what I was been shown.
Wow.
And every day that became stronger, and my visions became stronger, and we all have our own journey to find that inner eternal place in us. And for me, mine was that I was literally taken, and I flew, or I was shown things that are indescribable about the beauty. I became incredibly compassionate to all life, because I could see those back then, especially, and still today, there's a lot of stigma. Back then, parents were disowning their children, and it was very, very hard to be ill then. And so
around AIDS, you're talking about, yeah.
Yes, around AIDS and being gay and all of that, what that meant.
I remember that time.
And so my heart just burst open into the biggest compassion I'd ever felt in my life. And to this day, it is still that. And I started to become a seeker. I have to share, my brother was out of the hospital 10 days later, and he lived for another year. We had him with us for another year. And during that year, and still, I became a seeker. Maybe not so much a seeker now, but very much a seeker. And I studied all faiths. I read everything I could get my hands on. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross had just put out a beautiful book, AIDS, the Ultimate Challenge, which was your heart, just like anyone that reads that book, it's huge, heart opening.
Wow.
So that's when I started on that awakened journey of knowing that there were many, many beings around me, and that I could walk with them, and they were my friends.
That sounds so beautiful. It sounds really challenging. It sounds like you really went into the depths. It's like, it's such a dark experience. It could be such a dark experience, but you just really brought in, infused the light into that situation.
Yeah.
When you were dancing ecstatically, were you guided to do that? Was it like, what was the compulsion there to?
That's a good question. I've never ever thought of it, actually. I would say that I feel, as I reflect back, that I just had to dance it out. To just dance it out. And I didn't understand what I was doing, but it was at the end of August. So I was literally dancing on the mother, which I didn't understand so much then, but I was just dancing on this powerful, powerful world we live on. And I was being recharged. I fully was being recharged every day to just go back the next night and to infuse the hospital with the love that I was being shown constantly.
Powerful. I've heard of situations where people wake up from extreme situations, and then there's the situations where it's like we start waking up to our life purposes and our destinies when slowly, just through the meditation practices, or just really tuning in, just taking time to tune in to really listen to our souls and what we want to be here and what we want to be doing. And it sounds like such an extreme experience, and powerful with that.
No, I am absolutely mesmerized with Kim's story, and my heart was just fluttering just sitting here listening to that. It's beautiful.
I will also share, if you don't mind, that during those 10 days I was shown that I would do something to help bring love to this planet. And it's taken me 25 years to get to that point where I was ready to do that.
That's powerful. Wow. So the seed was planted during that time.
The seeds were planted in enormous ways, where I would just be in awe of what was being shown and collapse in tears and get up and start dancing again. There really aren't words to describe the beauty that I was shown.
So powerful. So you can see that Kim has such an amazing connection with spirit here. And what I was saying in the beginning was that she's got such amazing and beautiful integrity with her spiritual connection. She's willing to put her post down and stand for what is important and what the truth is that she knows between her and Source. Because of everything that's happening in social media, in the world, around media, and we're just being given all of these images and examples of what's happening on the planet, we're only being given a small portion of the news of what's actually going on out there. What the slogan for the media is, if it bleeds, it leads. So if you can imagine, that is the forefront of what people journalists and everyone goes for in order to get published on the air or on the TV. And so everything revolves around that slogan. And so, or a large majority of it, I should say. There is some good news out there for sure, but it's just not in our radius. And so I'm just wondering, Kim, how do you see, because there's this whole culture of change that's going on the planet right now. It's massive, and we're just not getting to see it. And there's a lot to do with spirituality we're being shifted on very, very subtle realms. We're being shifted in the subtle realms, and this doesn't necessarily reach the news, right? And so I'm just wondering what your take is on how things are shifting and what we have to look forward to, or what we can do to contribute to that.
Thank you. It's a good subject. It's a good subject to talk about. What I feel is that in reading our history, and we have come to a peak in the dross, or the distortion, that's been happening on the planet. And so much has been hidden because it's not been easy to talk to the world until just a little while ago, with the beginning of the computer realms, and we can reach anybody now.
Can you just describe what distortion means?
Chaos. the chaos, the destruction, the different things that are happening that we're hearing about on the news. So for me, what I feel very strongly is that these are the most powerful days this world's ever seen. We are seeing the things that have been hidden for a long, long time being revealed. And I believe that things aren't all being revealed at once. It would be really hard to handle if it was all revealed at once. So we reach critical mass, and critical mass is some people call it the 100th monkey, where enough of us are focused on one subject that all of a sudden we get to a point where we start to ride a new wave. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that with women, the Me Too movement. It was time for women to be honored and respected on the planet. That was the critical mass. We're seeing it now with the incredible youth today, with Greta, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, the young girl from, I believe it's Sweden. And she has started an incredible wave of teenagers all around the planet walking out every Thursday to speak on climate change. They will not rest now. Last Friday was the 15th of March was a worldwide awakening. The students went out around the world. I remember on Thursday sitting at home, I was actually up in Courtenay and just starting a prayer, knowing that New Zealand youth were walking. And it was the wave all around the world. Hundreds of thousands of students walked out the day. So we're seeing this momentum, this beautiful momentum of all of the different things that have been hidden. You cannot get away with anything now. Eventually, it will be discovered. It will be put on these computers, and the whole world will hear about it. And there's the gift, and there's the beauty. So we're seeing an awakening. We're seeing slowly but surely people are saying, I don't want to live this way anymore. What do I want? And then people like you and I and other people that bring these good messages they're starting to listen to those stories and bring divine hope, pure divine hope into every heart.
And what does that look like exactly, the pure divine hope?
There's enough goodness now rising that it's bringing hope to women around the world, for example, to young children that are being hurt. There's media that is starting to shun it. And the distortion and the destruction is peaking. It's big. And it's meant to peak so that we can heal it. I've always said, reveal it to heal it.
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of any type of healing program that we go on. You know, it's like if we have something that's going on in our bodies, we have to identify what the issue is in order to like fully get in there.
Or emotions, like that emotion has been hidden in me, and all of a sudden it's rising up. It's like, okay, good, thank you. I love you. I will love you back to wellness. And that's what we're doing on our planet. We're loving each other back to wellness.
I love that, it's very inclusive, and it's like a caring way forward, the way that you're viewing this. How do you see like the destruction on the planet? How do you see the all the changes, what they're calling global warming? There's so much back and forth about that. How do you see that contributing to us waking up?
You remember this, Margo, years ago, Moon Mama Margo. We started hearing about climate change. I guess I was 10, and it was becoming, the first monkey. And now we've far surpassed the 100th monkey. And we're really, really, really waking up to the fact that the things that have been done to our planet by man and women need to really make a change. And so I have no fear about that, to be honest with you. I believe these youth that are coming onto the planet now are bringing gifts and new ideas that we've never seen before. And we're seeing youth. There's one young boy on the planet that's discovered how to take plastic out of the ocean. His discovery is now being implemented by
love that.
Yeah, like there's so much goodness coming from the youth today, and I have absolute a knowing in my heart that all of this dross and destruction, it had to be revealed. And now it's been revealed, and every day we might say, oh, what's that subject? Okay, it's time. There's enough of us that want to address that subject. So there's more to come. There's lots more to come. At the same time, there are beautiful people on this planet working very hard with deep, deep, deep passion and love in their hearts to bring total love to this planet, and oneness and healing.
Yes, and that's happening through all ages.
Yes.
I see that. I witnessed
Absolutely.
that. Yeah, and it's so great because we get to see that now. If we're in these small communities and we don't get to, if we didn't have the internet, it might be a different story. But now that we have the internet, we can actually seek out these groups on Facebook or wherever we're finding on the internet. We can seek out these places that are attracting people who have these greater visions and who are holding down the potential outlook rather than crumbling under the fear of what is happening, which is really easy to do. It's really easy to because of all the news that we're getting, inputting all of this stuff that we're going down. It's like there's no hope for us, and yet. What I know in my bones is that humanity is evolving. We're not just evolving as a species, like intellectually, emotionally, we're also evolving physically. Our senses are becoming a lot more refined, or have the potential to become more refined, depending on the individual, of course. It's individually driven. Our evolution is individually driven, always by what we want in for ourselves and for the planet. And so everybody, wanting to wake up, wanting to shift this planet, do you have any suggestions or any advice that you would give them?
First of all, I would say, love yourself. That's the highest calling. I do believe that this world is shifting as we start loving ourselves like we've never loved ourselves before. And once we can love ourselves and love the wounds as much, because any fear, anything, ego to me is fear. Anything that rises is a wound. So just love those wounds and get support outside of ourselves if needed with counseling, reach out to a friend, but support ourselves. That to me is the number one aspect. And as we're doing that, because I'm a Buddhist also, and it's 1,000-petaled heart, so there's always another petal to open. And when that 1,000th petal is opened, we have completed all the lifetimes here.
Can you describe what the petaled heart is?
It is a Buddhist tradition that we are born at the beginning of our lifetimes with a 4-petaled heart, and as we evolve and as we work through the humanness, a petal opens, maybe 10, maybe 30 petals. Maybe listening to this radio station experience, someone's petals will open. They will feel hope. They will feel joy, and they'll go, oh! And all of a sudden, they've moved through something inside of themselves. Mm-hmm. So, for me, I find this times very powerful. And truthfully, I don't watch the news. When my brother was sick, actually, the first thing the doctor said, don't watch the news. You go to sleep at night at 11 o'clock at night, you've watched the news, your T cells have plummeted, all of ours do, because it is chaos. And then you go to sleep and you have to get those T cells back up to where they should have been going to bed so that they can rise even higher. So I would encourage everyone to keep an eye on watching the news, to watch it earlier in the day if need be, to reach outside of that and look. I mean, you just can look at the beauty in the world to make yourself feel good. So you can do that. Those of us that pray, we can pray. Those of us that can visualize, we can. In my little book, the children's book, at the end, the second to last page is a beautiful prayer for children to just imagine holding the world. I do this every day. I imagine holding the world in my arms. And I imagine just pouring all the love from my heart into our world and lighting the whole world up, and every single human family member that I have. All people are my family. All of us are family. So we can actually, to visualize this world and all of us as magnificent, beautiful, radiant beings is, I believe, one of the highest gifts we can give this world right now. We can take action. Some of us take action in ways where we, like the students, are walking. They're saying no. They're taking action. Some of us are environmentalists. There's all sorts of different ways to help this world heal and to become the beauty that it is.
I love that.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you.
And thank you for bringing up the self-love as well, and how we think matters, because we have been taught that we're just numbers, or that we're not significant, that we're one of many, 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 and that we don't have a significance. And yet, because this is a universe where they're calling it a holographic universe at this point, which what happens to one happens to many. And so when we can clear down our windshield wipers, when we can start seeing clearly about what's going on the planet, rather than all the stuff that we've been taught to look, the lens that we've been taught to look through, we're going down, it's like, it's no longer helpful to have that kind of lens. What is helpful is putting our attention on what we can do, and how we can hold the energy in our body. With the laws of attraction, what we put our attention on grows. And so as we can put our attention on something that's positive, like Kim was saying about, putting on nice music, or, playing with your pet, or, just these types of things, it's like raising our vibrations again, can start to put us into a higher frequency, or a higher vibration. And so we can start to bring the light in.
I would like to have said earlier, self-love and brain training. Because that's the key to freedom.
I agree with that for sure. Yeah.
When I was about 21, I picked up a book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. And it made me extremely conscious. So I actually have trained myself to listen to every word that I say. And when I say a word that might hurt someone, whether I've realized it consciously or not, I look at that and I address that in myself. I'm very careful with what I read, very careful with what I listen to, and I don't participate in the stories of destruction. And when I hear it, I bless it. Just give it up to the divine to completely shine their love on that. So brain training, and the Dalai Lama just said within the last 10 years, I'm not sure when, brain training is the answer to freedom. And I believe that completely. I know that in my heart. I've lived that. So really, really listening to what we say, and literally reprogramming the world story, the dross that we've been subjected to, and making a new story for ourselves, because we can do anything. There's infinite possibilities, and we are coming into a time when that's literally how we can live. I live in heaven on earth on this planet, and that's where I live.
It's absolutely possible. We have that ability. Heaven does exist on earth, and I'm not talking religious heaven. I'm talking about the ability to live a full life, the ability to love and be joy-filled, and to connect with people, and to have a good experience here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes I remember last summer I was quite upset about something, and I wasn't seeing the beauty, which is, that can happen to all of us. And I pulled a little oracle card that I have, and it said, go outside. So I went outside to a little Mother Mary altar that I have, and I sat down and I looked, and there was a little blue moth, and I just looked at it. And within about a minute later, I looked at it. I said, I have been so upset in myself that I'm not even seeing your beauty. Thank you for this magnificent gift you've shown me. And I was then in awe of everything, of everything. But what a gift that little blue moth was to say, I am magnificent. Notice me, because there's the lesson.
People, this is how to live in the magical realms.
Yes, exactly. and I would say too, that's another aspect of how we can feel centered here, is to really ground. Like I went outside, just somehow stand on earth, and just shut your eyes if you can and feel the pulse that we are all our heartbeats. Just feel it.
I love that. Love that.
I love it too.
Yeah, she does.
Today is Worldwide Water Blessing Day, Water Day. And I am a water blesser. I've been water blessing, as you'd said, for 5 years. So I just love to take a moment to ask us all to tune in to the water. And can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that. And so if you've got any water around you, you're welcome to hold it. Or you can just tune in.
What you can do is touch your heart.
Touch your heart, that's right.
So let's all
we're
touch
made
our
of
hearts.
water.
Exactly. Let's touch our hearts.
And I'm a water sign.
And you're a water sign. Blessings to those water signs. So as we touch our heart, we literally can start to feel our heartbeat. And that's the water in our body. So you can feel it flowing. You can really actually just feel it flowing and bathing every single cell. And intentionally love the waters in our body. And feel every single cell responding to that magnificent love. And if you want, you might be able to look out at a tree or look across to a person and imagine the waters in their bodies, or the trees' sap, or the birds or the bees or whatever you can see. Each of us have the water in ourselves. If you're standing by a great big body of water, just feel. You can hear the mother ocean as she gently makes her way in and out. The movement of the water. Then you could just literally, if you wanted, you could just expand that to the whole world and the pulse of the water. And just imagine the shimmering beauty within ourselves and all life. And most of all, remember that with every breath we breathe, we release moisture to the air. And with every breath we bring in the moisture from the air. So literally, we are all breathing each other. We are literally constantly feeling and filling up with the waters of this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ecosystem that is contained. So we are breathing the oceans in. We are breathing in the beauty of the elephants. The three of us are breathing in the beauty of each other right now. So there, blessings on this sacred day. Blessings to all beings that share this beautiful world with us. Thank you.
Blessings be.
Thank you.
I don't know about you, but I feel pretty heckin' relaxed at this point. My waters are calm and happy.
Good.
And for all those tuning in on the day where this isn't Water Blessing Day, or this isn't World Water Day, you are still receiving, by doing this meditation, you are still receiving that energy from this day.
And I would share, you can do this every single day. Where I go to the ocean usually every single day and say a little blessing, a little prayer. Sometimes you can take, if you like crystals, you can take a crystal and put your love into it and put it in the water, or a rock or anything. And that water, like a little pebble that ripples, it ripples forever. It never stops. Your love ripples out forever.
Now, Kim, if anyone wants to learn more about you and they want to maybe even partake in a water blessing, where would they go?
Well, I host water blessings on Salt Spring Island. I will soon be opening up an opportunity to have water blessings online every 2 weeks. For now, I would say to please check out my website, www.divinelovepublishing.com, and you can find me on there and ask me questions.
That's fabulous.
Thank you. And my children's book is available on Amazon, and yeah, it's a beautiful world. Thank you.
You're welcome. So thank you, Kim. Thank you for joining us. It's such a pleasure to have you, and thank you for sharing everything, all of your heart and all of your depth and your kindness. I feel so much kindness from you, and just permeating out, and yeah, so thank you.
Thank you, sweetheart. I love you, Gaianna.
Aww.
I'm very, very blessed to be your friend. Aww. Thank you, sweetheart, and I love your mama.
I know.
And I feel very blessed to have Gaianna as my daughter.
Aww.
And I'm so glad she chose to come to me.
Thank you, Moonlit Margo.
And to meet you too, Kim. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks, Margo. I love you, sweetheart.
Yeah, thanks for wanting to be in front of a microphone today, Mom. I'm like, Mom, do you want to come? She's like, yes. She's like, I'm like, Mom, do you want a microphone? She's like, yes. So cute.
Okay, can I just say something?
Sure.
About water?
Yeah.
I live by the water, well, a couple of blocks away. And every morning I go down to the seawall and I walk the seawall, usually by myself. Sometimes a girlfriend comes along, but I always say, this is in West Vancouver, and it's so quiet early morning, and the little otters are down there, and the seals, and we have eagles flying overhead. It's just beautiful. I have a view of Kitsilano. I have a view of the islands, Vancouver Island. And I always say my blessings down there because I thank the goddess and everything related to the fact that I live there. I live here. It's the most beautiful place in the world to be in Vancouver. And I was brought up in England, away from the ocean, and I spent my first 20 years inland, and then I came to Canada, and I've lived by the water ever since, and I'm a water sign, and I just feel that you could never drag me away. I spent 2 years in the desert in the Middle East, and I'll tell you, that was the driest time of my life.
Yeah.
I would come home on an annual vacation, and Gaianna would pick me up at the airport, and we'd go down to Kitsilano Beach, and I'd dip my toes into the water.
How sweet is that?
I love water.
You know, even when we don't know what it does it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like it's there. It's huge. It's
Yeah.
this huge body of energy.
That's actually something that I would love to just share is we're coming into a time where relationships are important. We're just starting to realize that. So I encourage us all to take a look at, we've just heard the most exquisite expression of the type of relationship you have with water. Mm-hmm. It's time for us all to really become conscious of the relationship we have with water and how that feels to us and how it brings us joy. Yeah. And that was a beautiful expression of that. Thank you.
Thank you for taking these stories in. I hope they inspire you to walk to the beat of your own drum and start to tickle your curiosity into the possibility of enjoying a bright and beautiful future. May these stories inspire us all to see a greater vision of what's possible for the world. If you like this story and want to hear more, then Google Gulf Island Community Radio and listen live on your computer every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can find out more about me, Gaianna, at gaiannasophia.com. That's spelled GAIANNASOPHIA.com, where I've got links to my YouTube channels, and you get to see me live, and the Conscious Planet Network Facebook page, where you can tune in and listen to the recordings of this show online. And special thanks to Kilo Kaz for letting us use their song Happy in the Meadow for our broadcast. Thanks for listening to the Conscious Planet Network, broadcasting to you from the Gulf Island Community Radio. See you next time.